Let's talk to US political analyst Nomiki Konst, who joins us now. Good to see you this morning. Look, and as a Democrat, do you think that it is time for Biden to step aside in the wake of what we saw in the early hours of this morning?
I think this is somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, the media is loving this narrative. And frankly, I think Democrats are playing into it, including these advisors who are, including Congress members who want to be unnamed, saying that they want to have a divided open convention, which is, as the previous guest said, is very complicated based on the DNC's charters. You know, none of this was a surprise. Was this Biden's best performance? And Biden has a very good debate record. If you go back in history, he crushed it in the last several debates that he's done on stage. If you recall the one from when he was vice president against, what's her name? I forgot her name already. The woman who was running with McCain. So he, you know, listen, I even blundered just now, and I am 40 years old. It was nothing that we didn't expect, but to play into the age and not focus on Trump's, the fact that he's caused so much instability in our country, the fact that he lied on stage, that the CNN analysts on stage were not fact-checking in real time and chose not to. Almost every single thing that came out of Donald Trump's mouth was false, and that came through the fact checks later. Did Biden stumble? Absolutely. Did he get better? Yes. But does that mean that we should dismantle the entire system, cause instability in the Democratic Party at this point? That choice was to be made a year ago. That choice was to be made during the primary, 4 years ago, when people were bringing this up 4 years ago, and the DNC came together and basically pushed out every single other option, including Bernie Sanders, who I once worked for. So this is a situation now in which, Democrats are now freaking out because they created this situation. But we are now months before, in 2 months, you're going to have early voting. So you're going to put the Democratic Party through absolute chaos, something that's unprecedented over, pretty much a slow, faulty, weak debate performance. As the previous guest stated, the president is sick. He has a cold. He's in his 80s. None of these things are surprises. But the fact that we keep focusing on them instead of focusing on how to win, instead of having surrogates out there talking about messaging. My complaints about the Biden administration, the campaign right now, are that they don't have surrogates out there talking about the accomplishments. If he is not doing what he needs to do as a messenger, you need to put everybody out there to buffer him, to talk about the accomplishments of the administration, to talk about what Donald Trump wasn't able to do, to fact check because the CNN analysts weren't fact checking on stage. You need to have a full-fledged messaging operation, and that is what I'm worried about with the Democrats right now, because on the other side, you had Donald Trump way more composed than we've probably ever seen him. But again, lying. Everything that came out of his mouth was a lie. Every time there was a complaint about something, it was the fault of immigrants, and it was the fault of Joe Biden. It was never Donald Trump didn't handle COVID properly. It was never that Donald Trump was only protecting his friends and family and oligarchs around the world. It was never that Donald Trump is cozying up to Vladimir Putin, cozying up to North Korea, cozying up to some of our worst adversaries who want to destabilize democracy around the world. It was always, it's the immigrants' fault. It's always, oh, Joe Biden did this during his Donald Trump's administration. But that is the job of the Democratic Party. They need to have a counter message. If Biden isn't the one, then get other folks out there. If Kamala Harris isn't the one, other folks.
Nomiki, we've got to leave it there. Good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Look, I think she raises a valid point in saying, there should have been more questioning about what Donald Trump was saying, more analysis of that. But you can't move away from the fact that it's someone who one candidate appears more compos mentis than the other.
Yes, indeed, and I think
that's it's a legitimate concern, isn't it, to say, is this man really going to be able to lead us for the next 4 years?
I actually feel sorry for him. I don't think he should be doing that, and I think someone obviously who does have issues shouldn't be put in that situation. And he's got a cold. That was one of the excuses. And there's one more debate to come, Stephen. Potentially 3. Trump wants to do one with Fox, but there is another one coming.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if some moves are made to try and replace him.
Yeah.
I think of Robert in the debate the other night over here saying, are you two the best we've got to offer?
Well, exactly.
And that sort of applies.
And America's got a much bigger population than we have as well.